this time, it is my pleasure to call your November 2021 Borough Council meeting to order. I would like to request that we all stand and in unison recite the Pledge of Allegiance. We will follow that with a brief moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. Secretary Felix, if you will call the roll, please.
Mr. Chesney? Mrs. Funk? Here. Mr. Greenholdt?
Here.
Mr. Hegberg?
Here.
Mr. Kress?
Here.
Mr. Lockard?
Here.
Ms. Pranzis? Here. Mr. Riechart?
Here.
Mr. Rowland?
Here.
Dr. Rupp?
Here.
Solicitor Schultes?
Here.
Mayor Whitman? Here. Manager Dunford?
Here.
Secretary Felix? We have a quorum.
Thank you, Secretary Felix. At this time, let the record reflect that Council participated in executive session. It was held this evening from 6:45 till 6:57 p.m. prior to this Borough Council meeting, involving the following matters under the following sections of the Sunshine Act. Personnel and litigation, Section 708, A1 and A5. Litigation matters regarding water services, PUC settlement, Section 708, A4 and A5. Thank you. This time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Whitman.
It's going to be the Mayor Whitman show tonight. All right. First off, we're doing a proclamation. Larry and Walter, if you want to come up, please. I'm doing this proclamation for the Hanover Symphony Orchestra in recognition of their 25th anniversary. And this is Larry Kuntz. He is the music director and conductor. And with him is Walter Moss. He is the president of the board of directors and the principal bass player. So, here we go. A small group of community leaders led by Maestro Larry Kuntz began with the dream of developing an orchestra for the community, a place where the gifted musicians from the area could give of their talents. And that dream became a reality when their inaugural concert on November 5th, 1995, featuring the overture to the Royal Fireworks music by Handel, the Unfinished Symphony by Schubert, and the Triumphal March from Aida by Verdi. Whereas throughout its history, the Hanover Symphony Orchestra has demonstrated a strong commitment to the community through benefit concerts, including the Greater Hanover Area Red Cross, Hanover Area Council of Churches, Hanover Area Literacy Council, Hanover Public Library, and Eichelberger Performing Arts. And whereas, as part of its mission, the Hanover Symphony Orchestra established a scholarship program which later transitioned into a student fellowship program, and to date, 17 college scholarships, 21 summer music camp scholarships, and 2 fellowships have been awarded. And whereas Hanover Symphony Orchestra members come from all walks of life, professional musicians, teachers, doctors, dentists, bankers, select advanced high school players, apprentices, and even a NASA engineer. And throughout the years have performed with such world-class guest artists as soprano Karen Bureau, cellist Nancy Bond, narrator George Matthew, pianist George Thomas, movement artist Dan Kamen, and violinist Mark Wood. Now, therefore, I, Sue Ann Whitman, Mayor of the Borough of Hanover, York County, Pennsylvania, hereby charge all citizens to recognize and commend the members of the Hanover Symphony Orchestra and their music directors, Larry Kuntz, 1995 to 2011, Brian Buterbaugh from 2012 to 2015, Timothy Buck, 2016 to 2020, and back again to Larry Kuntz, 2020 to present. All dedicated to fostering the love of music through entertainment, encouragement, and education for the greater Hanover community. Thank you.
We
officially celebrated our 25th anniversary with an anniversary concert on Sunday, October 24th. But if you didn't catch that, we have another concert coming up very soon. Our 2021 holiday concert will be held Saturday, December 4th, in the Southwestern High School Auditorium at 7 o'clock p.m. And it features world-class artist, coloratura soprano, Laura Height. Now, you may recognize her when the York Symphony used to put on their fireworks display on the 4th of July at the York Fairgrounds. Laura was always the featured soloist for that celebration. But since their baseball team sort of took that over, the fairgrounds fireworks went away, and she hasn't been able to sing in this area as much as she used to. So we're going to change that, and we invited her to sing with us, and she graciously accepted. So if you're not doing anything, Saturday night, December 4th, 7 p.m., Southwestern High School Auditorium, we would love to have you in the audience and just share the joy of music. It's a wonderful, wonderful group we have. The anniversary concert was one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments where everything just came together and clicked for the musicians and the audience. And it's a real joy for us to bring this kind of culture to the borough of Hanover to make it just that much better of a place to live. So thank you all for your support, and we look to it at least 25 more years. Walt, thank you very much.
Next, we're going to move on from the chili cook-off. Where'd Chili John go? You want to say something about, no? Well, okay, so we have the chili cook-off, and as you know, it raises a lot of money, and what I love about it is that they keep the money that they give back out local, and I think that's awesome. So our first check tonight is going to the HART Center, and that is for $5,000. Is anybody here from the... In case you want to display it. We do.
Hi, everyone. This is very nice. Thank you so much. HART Center actually has celebrated 52 years of service to the community. For those of you who don't know, we are a center that serves the developmentally disabled. And we have been doing so for, again, 52 years, and we started with 4 people. And we've had as high as 160. So we partner with many, many contractors in the community who are gracious enough to provide us with fulfillment work. And so our folks are busy working every day and being very productive. And that's pretty much what we do. We also put people in the community that are ready to do so. And we also have a new program called Community Participation, where folks actually go out into the community every day and make things daily. So thank you so much.
Very good. We appreciate it. Are you accepting the award for Guthrie? Next up, we have Guthrie Memorial Library and another $5,000.
Thank you very much.
This is not functioning.
You smile.
Error. That's why I wanted the camera. I'll get a picture later.
I'll have them for you, so you know. Sure.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
I'll show you too, sir.
Thank you all very much for all we got.
Okay. who do we have for Friends of Codorus State Park? For Friends of Codorus State Park is being awarded $4,000.
Friends of Codorus is made up of all volunteer group. We're a nonprofit organization out of the park. All the money we raise from our events at the park, plus this donation from you folks, goes back into the park for park improvements.
Very good. Thank you. Adams County SPCA. This is actually my cousin.
Are there tax implications to that?
So Adams County SPCA is being awarded $2,000. Okay.
I do have an announcement.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pet supplies or merchandise, we have a shop set up this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the following Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at the outlet shops in Gettysburg, close to the food court. So look for us there. You'll find some really good deals on some pet supplies and merchandise.
And then we have the York County SPCA. And they are also receiving $2,000. Has anybody been adding this up as we've been going? Do you have the total?
You added it up.
Sure. So the York County SPCA, similar to Adams County SPCA, we support the animal welfare throughout York County, and that's helping families keep pets within their home so that they're not abandoned or surrendered, as well as finding abandoned or lost animals new homes and supporting them while they're in that transition.
I think I know who's next. Boy Scouts? I don't know how I knew which ones they were.
No way.
Smart like that. All right, we got Boy Scout Troop 107, $1,500.
Guys, come in here, grab the other side. Where's my picture guy? There you go.
Come on in.
Come on, get in there. There you go. Thanks.
All right.
Yep, Boy Scouts of America, and basically Troop 107 out of McSherrystown, and then the girls here are in Crew 107, which is a co-ed group. They've been around about 10 years. So the Boy Scout troop's been around since 1910. So we've been around helping the community, and again, having the opportunity to help with the chili cook-off has just been a great opportunity for everybody to learn how to work together. Truly, this buys tents, sleeping bags, pays for summer camps, does all the really good stuff that the guys and the girls really like to do. Thanks again for your help and for even allowing us to be participating.
No, we appreciate
Not a
you
problem.
doing everything for the community. It's
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely, we try.
Great. Okay, next we have Hanover Area Fire and Rescue. Mr. Klauser.
Oh, me.
Chief Klauser. Yeah, chief. He's the chief. And they are being awarded $500.
Thank you very much.
You want to tell us a little something about your organization?
Well, this comes about because of we provide ambulance coverage for Chili John.
For Chili John.
And radios.
For the indigestion.
In case anybody gets sick. But we also do the fire inspection prior to for all the food vendors. If you go to YouTube and Google, or go to Google and search for food truck explosions, you will see quite a list of videos where food trucks have had propane leaks. And there's been explosions. Fortunately, not a lot of people killed, but injured. So we do that routinely now for all our events.
Not at our event, though.
We've never had anything in our, we've had a few leaks. We've identified leaks, but never had any issues. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, the Black Rose Rollers. Anybody? I don't see them on skates, so. All right, so they are being awarded $500 as well, so we'll make sure they get this. All right. I think we're moving on to the
I think you're still up, Madam Mayor.
bag.
You're on a roll.
All right, so next we have we have 3 borough employees that have been with us a long time. And the first one is Douglas Rummel, who's not here tonight, but he has been with us for 30 years. Doug started in the water department, then the street crew, and then in February of 1996, he started with the filter plant. And then next we have Thomas Musselman, who's been with the borough for 40 years. And Tom started with the water department, street crew, and then July 2nd of 1990, he was promoted to the meter maintenance and repairman. And we have another 40-year employee who would be Julie Mile. Come on up, since you're here. You don't get off easy. So,
Julie.
put my glasses on. I'm going to read a little something about Julie tonight. Oh, yes, I do. So a little background information and career highlights on Julie. Julie started volunteering for the Children's Department in June of 1978. So you would have been a sophomore in high school. We both went to school together. That's how I know this. I've known her since kindergarten. So in August 1979, she started as a part-time library assistant in the Children's Department. She became full-time in November of 1981 after graduating from high school. In 1993 through 98, she was in charge of the Children's Department, and then in 98, she began working in the Adult Department. In 2017, she took over as the library's administrative assistant, and then, of course, in February 2020, she became the interim library director and steered the library through the uncertainty of the pandemic. And then I have some things here from fellow employees. So from Kelly Horner, she's worked with Julie for 15 and a half years, and I can say that she is dedicated and devoted borough employee. Julie treated everyone with respect and helped each person equally. She has done many different positions at the library over her 40 years, and I can say she did all of them with true dedication to library services. I hope she has a wonderful retirement. She deserves it. From Julie Truesdale. Julie Mao was great to work with. She knew her patrons in the adult department. She would always know what to recommend for them to read. She was also good at balancing the money, but I guess that comes along with that comes along with being married to an accountant. And
Don't ask him that question.
she also said she remembers back in the day when she wore a bandana in her hair. So the library was very lucky to have her loyalty all these years. She will be missed. This guy here has a quirky sense of humor from Ryan Bankert. So Julie has always had an encyclopedic knowledge of the building and everything in the building down to the last water bug. That knowledge pales in comparison to being friends with everyone within a 15-mile radius of the library. Julie has been the power behind the throne, per se, and always ready with whatever information or help a staff member needed. And she even got the chance to sit in the throne and rule the library from an ivory tower. Seriously, though, she stepped up in one of the darkest times the library has ever seen, the loss of a director almost immediately followed by the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic. Julie kept the library going through closures, limited services, and the ever-polarizing landscape of the pandemic. Julie has earned this, I like this part. Julie has earned her ghost a spot here at the library several times over. Because without her, the library could not have kept going and bounced back the way it has. So is it really haunted?
I've heard. Not seen, but I've heard.
From Linda Gladfelter, Julie is the most dedicated person. She always wants the best for Guthrie, and she never avoids hard work. And from Annie Lar Wappy, I hope I got that right. It has always been a pleasure working with Julie. I have always been amazed at how well she covered all the areas of the library. As soon as someone was away, Julie would take care of the person's tasks, and when there was a question from a customer we didn't know the answer to, we turned to Julie. She knows the whole town and was a big help when updating the library databases. She even shovels the snow around the building during the winter. And last but not least, we have Shayna, our new library director. Julie Mao has been instrumental in helping me get acclimated to my new role as director of the Guthrie Memorial Library. Without her encyclopedic knowledge, I would have been lost over these last few months. And things will definitely not be the same without her wisdom and guidance. She is leaving behind some enormous shoes to fill, and the library will not be the same without her. So not only has Julie worked for the library for 40 years, she is also retiring at the end of December. So we got you these beautiful roses.
Oh, you're not getting away.
It's been really cool for me to be able to do this
It's been awesome, honestly.
for a classmate.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a heck of 42 years. Lots of changes, lots of different positions. I do know the library in and out, literally. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Basically, grew up there. So, thank you all very much.
Connie, how many years did you work at the library?
39 and 7 months or something like that.
How many days?
It's on your PowerPoint.
But I will add to everything that you said about Julie. Julie has worked at every position. She has been wonderful at everything she has done, and she is going to be sorely missed at the library. We all love her. I still see her because I go in to volunteer, and she has just been wonderful.
That was said by the code employees, and probably add that she is her worker, but I feel that she's a wonderful friend, that I know that I will miss her, and she knows that I will miss her. I've told her that so many times, and I second everything Connie said.
And Linda, this is Linda Sullivan. She's was also a library employee.
Yes, Del.
But you still are. How many years have you been there so far?
I'm at 16.
Okay.
We have one job.
So, kind of cool. I got a cousin here tonight. Connie McInturf was my best friend's mother when I was growing up. She just lived a couple houses away from me. And of course, I have Julie here that I've known since kindergarten. So it's like...
You're pretty Hanover.
Yeah. Well, this concludes my portion until later tonight. All right, Bill, you can have it back.
Okay, Mayor Whitman, well, that's right. She'll be back around at the end for more. So good job. And on behalf of council, obviously, Julie, our appreciation as well. Moving on in the agenda, I will open it up for those who brave the cold weather this evening to come out and see us for public comments. If you have constructive criticism, hopefully, or whatever you have to say, as long as it's relative and respectful, we welcome you to come forward, identify yourself, and say what you have to say before council. Seeing none in the room, I will ask for community media's assistance to do that with our electronic followers.
Those joining us via Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
Got to check.
Seeing no one unmuting themselves, I will.
For Julie, that was so wrapped up in the retirement. This was for James Long for your being here for many years of service. You just forgot that part.
Got that part. I'll try the gifts. Got some flowers.
Forgot some part.
That's the chocolate that goes with the roses.
No one? Okay, at this time I will close the first public comment session and move into the printed agenda, requesting from council a motion and second to approve the items on the consent agenda at this time.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of that question signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move into reports from standing committees, starting with the Fire Commission. Councilor Lockhart.
Thank you, President Requart. Request consideration of a motion to amend the draft 2022 budget to include the borough's share of a new position for the Fire Commission.
This was an issue, as was pointed out when it was inserted on the agenda, that we did not have the liberty to speak about last week at Council Finance. So I assume, Chief Clauser, you're here to field any questions that may arise. So given the fact that it's new, I will allow questions of Chief Clauser before I entertain a motion in a second.
I have
questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
There you are. So you're back. My question is, we got some information sent to us regarding the title was, it's on my phone. Here's just a second when I find it. Business manager. And then we have in front of us deputy fire chief. I need to know which is it.
The original last year, it was a deputy fire chief, so we set out and did a job description for the deputy. This year, I decided to go for a business manager finance person in light of the fact that we lost Sam Miller.
I guess one of the things on that job description for the business manager, what is that?
It's right here. It's on your.
Developing business goals and objectives for the commission. I just sort of don't see that as a role of the business manager. I see that as a role of you, the leader.
Well, you have to keep in mind that the job descriptions you were given is still in draft form. It's only been recently shown to the Finance and Personnel Committee of the Fire Commission, so it's not totally in stone yet.
I just got to be honest. I have a little bit of difficulty approving something I don't know what it is. You know, the concept may be a good concept, but I just have I'd like to know exactly what is that job and then what are the responsibilities you're not going to have, so we have a clear delineation of roles.
Understood.
Thanks.
Again, we're in the question and answer investigation phase of this proposition. Is there anything to my right to be asked or said?
No, I'm fine.
Questions?
I'm fine.
Do you have an idea what the salary is going to be?
Yeah, that
for
was
this
my other
position?
question.
Chief, salary?
I believe it was 62,000, 65.
And we split that with Penn Township, correct?
Yes,
Is that with or without benefits?
that's without, just salary.
So are you going to adjust your budget so that you can fit in that $60,000, or is that $60,000 plus?
The original budget that's submitted included all that. The budget that was submitted to you was subtracted out that half of the salary and half of the benefits.
So Penn Township did approve it?
Correct.
Thanks.
And the commission board approved it?
Yes.
The commission's request really through,
Oh.
I mean, our mechanisms are our mechanisms, council, the way we
It's
do
Chris.
business. But yes, Chris or myself, yeah.
And just clarify for me,
Yes,
this
sir.
is already in the budget for next year, this position.
This is not in our budget. I
It's not
believe
in
is
our
the-
budget.
Is the question. So that number would be half of 80-something?
I believe the total number was in the neighborhood of 50,000 from what I saw that Amy produced, that Sam had in his.
And that's with the salary and benefits.
Correct.
Our half is 50.
Bill, what is our half? What is it, Tony?
It was right around 50,000. I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head. It was right around 50,000 for salary and benefits. For half of it.
With salary and benefits, our half would be about $52,000.
Okay. Thank
Okay, thank you.
Additional investigatory type questions.
If the board of the
Can I just, I know where you're going, but can I limit you to questions now? And then if I'm going to handle it this way. Questions, we can come back to questions, but if I get a motion a second, then we'll move into discussion. I think your point belongs there, Councilor Rowland.
I guess my question is just kind of why the late date.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
The timing?
I'm sorry, it seems a little late. Like,
Budget's going to print late.
Well,
Is there-
it was in the budget.
Sort of thing.
Council took it out. Penn chose not to. Penn approved it.
okay,
So we're
and
going
now
back
it
to
comes back
council.
to us.
If
I know it's not the first time we're hearing it, it just seemed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there, Councilor Lockard, will you be making the motion? And if so, do so at this time, please.
Yes.
You'll be making the motion
And I'll second.
to amend the draft budget to include the 52,000-ish, our share. Motion, second. Discussion. Councilor Rowland, you're first on discussion.
I think I'd like to further discuss to the discussion, not this evening, but in perhaps how that position works, because as I saw, and I'm not totally on top of all this, there's a chief, an assistant chief, and other admin. There's a administrative assistant, and now this is a business manager.
For lack of a better terminology, business manager.
Yeah, business unit manager, business operations manager. I've created that same position before, and it's, somebody that's driven by numbers to drive the operation, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it would be an interesting workshop, not with a huge group, to consider the assistant chief, the administrative assistant, the business operations manager, and whatever other these, what we used to call indirect positions, to perhaps combine some of them together somehow, some way. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm certainly not going to second guess.
Well, just to clarify, Counselor, right now, there's only two positions, myself and my admin. The assistant, there is no assistant chief of the fire commission.
Right, and I was considering that as an open position.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you...
No, I'm with you. And how do we address that vacancy amongst all this stuff, and perhaps we're better to put in a higher level position, and I hate myself when I say that because it sounds sort of a condescending sense, but someone that can address more of these issues, or perhaps this business operations manager could perhaps evolve into being an assistant chief. I don't know.
Chief, to respond to that, just from as a member of our representative to the commission, part of the historical perspective, a year ago, the commission identified the need to provide help at that level to the commission. We to speak for the commission, it feels and felt that the task is too large for chief and one admin person to do. So a year ago, the thinking was that it would be someone more in the professional firefighter venue that would be called deputy chief. That would chief would delegate certain fire protection, emergency service responsibilities to him. In the year since that point in time, the commission still feels that we need to give our chief and his admin help. But we're thinking that where things look now, it's in more of a business admin type direction rather than the physical responsibilities of fighting fires professionally as well as providing emergency services professionally.
So you as a senior member of the Penn Hanover Commission,
Yep.
You're in favor of this and you understand the nuts and bolts of it.
Yes.
Then I'm good with it.
In favor of, but at the same time, we're trying to, through Manager Dunford, council had approved that council would try to perform a study to look at some of these aspects of the commission. so as to see potentially the development of a business model, potentially our involvement in it, continuing forward, so on and so forth. We are not at the point where we've even started that.
And I hate studies. On the record, I hate studies because they're typically an alternative to action. But
Just one other question. So this person will become an employee of the commission or an employee of the borough?
He's employee of the fire commission.
It's a good question.
Okay.
Who will supervise this person?
Myself.
Chief's still in charge.
So we're not doing the study. We're not doing the study yet. We're going to hire somebody, then do a study.
Well, it's. I would say it
So what happens
appears.
if the study comes back different?
Yeah, that seems a little strange.
I wouldn't bet that it did, but.
I guess that's my
your
question
point is made.
about timing. Is it just because it is more manageable for us and Penn Township to pass this at the same time? Because ordinarily I would say, listen, we can vote on this in 3 months and add it to the budget. There's not, it doesn't expire on December 31st.
Yeah.
Is it just a matter of it makes more sense for?
Or is it to continue to rail us in one direction?
I guess I'm feeling a bit rushed, and I'm trying to understand if maybe there's something that I don't understand about the need for us to act in conjunction with our other regional partners. Because I don't want to step on toes. Because I might not understand. I'm not.
I believe it's here before us because the commission has executed it procedurally as a course of doing commission business.
Okay, so it's kind of already done, and we're voting on whether or not to pay for our half of it? Is that?
Correct, and through a budget amendment. And Councilor Lockhart and I, as the commission representatives, are bringing it to this body that can say yay or nay to, which is procedurally how it should be.
Okay,
As far as from a financial standpoint, what the commission looked at is to go the business route, is the business administrator route is much cheaper than the deputy fire chief. Now, in a perfect world, if we could find someone who, the skill set for the business management end of it and the fire chief all in one, or the deputy fire chief all in one person, that would be great. But at this point, we've identified that in order to take a little bit of the stress off of Chief Clouser, if we can get, because he's focused on the chief duties and not so much, the numbers type at this point. Yeah, so that's the commission's thinking.
If I could ask Manager Dunford a question, if and when we start our study that we're executing, approximate time frame for when we might, what would be your, not to hold you to it, but would it be a 6-month process?
I would think so. I put out the RFP. I wanted to wait until this last commission meeting. So that's out. We will probably have a contract to award in January, so maybe 4 months after that.
Okay. So
we'd award the contract or have the result?
We'd award a contract in January.
So we'd have a result?
4 months, 5 months.
So in fairness, I think if I'm addressing Councilor Francis's concern, that we wouldn't necessarily have to rush into it for the budget amendment now. We could amend our budget, say, in 4 months if that study came back indicating it.
And have the right
How does the
structure.
timing, when does the hiring take place? Before the study or after the study, I guess? Is that the question before us?
I'm sorry, Solicitor, do you want to speak?
I'm going to ask Manager Dunford a question, but...
Okay. So I don't know, is there a time frame? I would assume if the borough executes it by changing the budget, then it would go back to the commission, and then the commission would start working
The
on
finance
it.
committee would need to iron out the rest of that.
The job description, start interviewing candidates, fill the
Advertising,
position,
interview.
and so on and so forth.
That would be before the study or after the study?
That would start as soon as the beginning of the year, I would.
As soon as this council executes it as a course of business, it would
Far
start.
from what I get from what Dan said is
The
this
commission
study
manages,
would
but
commence.
the study is ours, right?
The study is ours,
not the
yes.
fire commission's.
We had offered for the study to be shared with Penn. Never, it wasn't a commission-based item. It was a reach from the borough to Penn to participate halves in the study, and Penn has declined that. But we had previously authorized to enter into the performance of the study for answers to our questions.
Also, I've asked Solicitor Schultes to read a section of the intergovernmental agreement
Oh,
related to
good.
the budget, and he can explain that to you.
Yes, I want to make it clear that my understanding of this additional position is that it is included within the Commission's proposed budget, which must be approved by each municipality. So, in a sense, it's not voting up or down on the issue of the position, but it's voting up and down on the position of the budget that we have to approve. If we do not approve it, as the Commission did, then it reverts back to last year's budget. So,
As adjusted for collective bargaining agreements.
So, question, Solicitor Schultes, if I can refer you to the agenda as it's written and proposed. It's unclear to me whether I may be wrong, but my interpretation was that council was voting to amend council's budget. Is that what or is it the commission's budget based upon your remarks?
I think if the motion is passed, it essentially approves the Commission's budget, but we should be very clear about that, because I think that's the only discrepancy.
Right.
And in the budget is a new position, this whatever the position is.
Do we not approve the Commission's budget as in totality, as in a number?
Yeah.
There hasn't been any consistency with how the budget is transmitted from the fire chief to the borough. So this is the first year that, since I've been here, which hasn't been that long, that I asked the commission to have a meeting and approve their budget and follow a process. So this is new.
Okay.
So this is, in your mind as well, this is approval of the commission's budget?
Essentially it is.
Which includes the position, which then, when we do that, will amend our budget?
Yes.
Ipso facto, yes.
So this is a
$52,000,
budget,
yes.
is what we're
Yes.
saying.
Yes, and you can decide how you're going to fund that or
Are there
not.
so if it were not to pass, the fire commission's budget would revert to last year's budget. Are there other differences between last year's budget and this year's budget beyond this position that could be impacted?
Good question. Yeah. Can you speak to that, Chief?
Well, as Manager Dunford said, it goes back to last year's budget minus adjustments for collective bargaining agreements. The remainder of the budget, for instance, EMS supplies, we are running right on budget with that right now. We expect a huge increase, as with everything else, due to COVID. We don't know what that's going to be, so we
Because you've been
budget
eating
for
through inventory in the interim.
Correct. And the cost is up. If our call volume goes up, cost for supplies goes up. If it goes down, cost of supplies go down. But it's an unknown.
Right. You don't know how many calls you're going to.
Right. It should not affect us
Okay.
in the first quarter.
And our agreement with the hospital, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole other ball. Yeah, it's a whole other ball wax.
Yeah, this is.
Wax may not be the
This
right
is enough
term.
to talk about. Let's keep that out of it. Okay. Everyone have a understanding of what they're being asked to consider? Okay. I will then conclude discussion on the matter, and we will reread the motion. I will reread it as I understand it. Consideration of a motion to amend the draft 2022 budget of the Fire Commission to include the borough's share of a new position for the Fire Commission.
No, it would be of the borough's
Without the
budget.
borough's part.
It would be consideration of a motion to amend the draft 2022 budget of the borough's budget, because we can't act to amend the fire commission's budget.
Is there a point then where we're approving their budget? Or is this, you feel, the mechanism by which we'll approve that?
This mechanism works in the
Works for you?
solicitor.
Works for you, solicitor?
It does.
Okay. Okay, just so we're not doing it twice.
Council should be aware that if they pass the motion, then it is essentially passing the budget of the commission, or approving it.
And increasing our budget.
So we're
yeah.
approving
Increasing our budget.
the commission's
Increases
budget
our budget.
and this specific aspect to it.
So we're going to word it that we're amending our budget, which then will ipso facto retroactively automatically amend the fire commission and approve the fire commission's
Yeah,
budget.
which is how it's written.
Okay.
So in 5 years, when we look back and wonder what we did, it'll be clear.
Yeah, right.
Well, somebody looks back.
So I would say that if you're going to take a separate action on the fire, to approve the fire commission's budget, that we do so in accordance with Act 65. Someone will make a motion to add that to the agenda. We'll pass that, and then we'll take up the vote. We'll ask for any public comment on that specific item. And then, of course, we have to do the post-meeting republication of the agenda. So we can do all that.
Would we need to do that, or could we just pass it as written and effectively do everything we need to do? Which is to approve the position, to approve the change to our budget, and then, as you said before, essentially approve the fire commission budget all in one thing without getting into Act 65 and all that requires.
I think if council wants to be absolutely clear as to what it did tonight, then we follow the Act 65 process.
Clear and transparent. So going forward, then, we will act at this time. I will announce that we will be having a discussion to approve the 2022 Fire Commission budget.
And amend ours by 50 couple thousand.
We'll do that afterwards.
I know, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to make that motion?
Well, I'm going to announce the. Go ahead if you'd like to say it for me.
If I can, I think you should first take up the motion as it was stated.
And then go back and add.
And then go back.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't pass, then it's a different motion altogether. The
Okay.
second motion is different altogether.
Okay. Okay. I do have a motion, and I do have a second for amending the draft 2022 borough budget to include the position at approximately $52,000. Let's do this by roll call. Secretary Felix, please assist me with that.
Mrs. Funk?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhold?
Yes.
Mr. Hagberg?
Yes.
Mr. Kress?
Yes.
Mr. Lockard?
Yes.
Ms. Pranzis?
Yes.
Mr. Ricard?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Dr. Rupp?
I'm thinking. I guess I'll just say yes. And what difference does it make? Doesn't make any difference. No,
Say yellow
I'm
if you want
just,
to.
I'm just not happy with approving something on what we're approving. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but okay.
Thank you. Now, trying to go back to the other item. Solicitor Schultes, I need to
Study first.
announce that we.
Entertain a motion to amend the budget to include the approval of the Fire Commission's 2022 budget.
Amend the agenda, you mean? Right, you said budget.
I'm sorry, amend the agenda to include the motion to approve the Fire Commission's proposed 2022 budget.
Can I receive such a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion second down here. Discussion?
Discussion in the private sector on a $40-ish million budget, you'd be told to suck it up.
Right.
You know as well as I do.
I would agree.
Okay. Other discussion? I will call the question, ask for a roll call vote. Secretary Felix, the motion is consideration of approval of the Fire Commission budget.
Suck it up, one of the things we're voting for?
No, we're voting to approve it.
Okay.
Mrs. Funk?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhold?
Yes.
Mr. Hagberg?
Yes.
Mr. Kress?
Yes.
Mr. Lockard?
Yes.
Ms. Pranzis?
Yes.
Mr. Ricard?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Dr. Rupp?
Yes.
Motion passes 9 in favor of and 0 against.
And now to ask for any public comment on the issue of the Fire Commission's budget before you then take up the approval of that.
Julie?
Is there, I'll open it up for starters to anyone in the room who would like to address the agenda change. I'll ask community media to open it up to our electronic audience.
Those joining us via Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
Seeing none, I'll close all public comment. And Solicitor Schultes, would the last agenda item be the approval of Fire Commission's 2022 budget?
Yes.
Can the chair have a motion for said?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second on this side. Councilor Rowland motion and Councilor Locker, let's say seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the question? Let's do a roll call vote.
Mrs. Funk?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhold?
Yes.
Mr. Hegberg?
Yes.
Mr. Kress?
Yes.
Mr. Lockard?
Yes.
Ms. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Ricart?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Dr. Rupp?
Yes.
Motion passes 9 in favor of and 0 against.
Thank you. We will now move into our committee and group ask, starting with Council Workshop and Finance. Dr. Rupp.
Thank you, President Ricart. I would ask for consideration of a motion to approve the following 2022 salary adjustments. I'll take them one at a time. To increase the annual compensation of the Human Resource Manager to $71,551 in 2022 at the conclusion of the employee service as interim borough treasurer / Human Resources Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of a motion to increase the compensation of the following library positions in 2021. Adult Department Manager to $20 per hour. Youth Department Manager to $20 per hour. Technical Services Supervisor to $15.82 per hour.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed? Any others? The motion carries.
Consideration of a motion to approve the advertisement of the 2022 Hanover Borough budget for public inspection for a period of 10 days prior to final adoption in December.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we're at the end of that process. Any discussion?
I thought it was 30 days. Obviously, I'm wrong. Man.
So,
I thought that the public viewing of the budget was 30 days, but it's only 10.
So, do you want to give all the, where's the solicitor?
Well, I don't mean anything by it, I just...
No, we'll provide all details.
No, that's fine.
No, certainly. Easy to do.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I just-
would you please answer questions about the budget process and how many days and advertising and that sort of thing?
Sure.
Thank you.
My understanding was is it had to sit on the counter, if you will, for public view
State. That's a
for
line state.
like 30 days, but evidently
Line
I'm wrong.
state for 10 days.
Okay. And it's 10 calendar, not business.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
any other comments? All in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And consideration of a motion to approve the 2022 Borough Council goals, which were provided to you last week in your packet and explained last week.
No motion.
All in favor of that one signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. Any others? Motion carries.
In consideration of a motion to approve the advertisement of an ordinance to amend Chapter 16, Powers and Duties of Borough Manager, to allow for the Borough Manager to send a designee to meetings of council and its committees.
So moved.
Any final discussion on this one? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's all you got?
I'm sorry.
That's it.
I'm sorry, that's it. That concludes my...
You done, Barb?
Thank you.
You want to add some more to it?
I'm done.
Moving along to Planning and Engineering, Councilor Hegberg, what say you?
Thank you. Consideration of a motion to approve contracts for code enforcement services with Pennsylvania Municipal Code Alliance until December 31st, 2023, at a rate of $50 per hour, not to exceed 20 hours per week, contract to include additional administrative and support services.
Second.
All in favor signify with an aye.
I have
Any
a
opposed?
question.
No.
I have a question.
Hang on. One opposed? Okay, your question?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
However,
It passed,
I have a
by the way.
question because in the down in the detail, and Eric's not here, there's a request, I believe, in the budget to hire a manager of codes and enforcement and so on and so forth, or of zoning and enforcement. And, you know, to me, these two would be sort of overlapping or duplicate positions. I think this is a good idea if it's a standalone.
If you
No.
want an answer, I'd be glad to provide.
Zoning is different. They don't do zoning, they do the enforcement
Well,
of zoning.
I understand that, but
And these folks are out there running around. So I don't see it as the same.
okay, so you see a need to spend,
I think the person we're hiring is going to oversee that.
well,
Yeah,
whatever,
because there's
that's
enough
a
going
discussion
on.
we can have at a later point. It's
Right.
in the budget. and
We've
we
gotten
can-
a good
we can
report
debate
back
that
when the
when need be.
Yeah.
successive
Fair
report.
enough.
Great
This
report.
is a incredibly great rate.
For all that.
That's a great rate.
Better
Great
than
rate.
full-time.
Okay.
Okay. Counselor Egbert, back to you.
Consideration of motion to approve the following contracts with Buchart Horn. A, to provide architectural and engineering services for a feasibility study for the public safety facility at the current Hanover Municipal Building at 44 Frederick Street, Hanover, at the cost of $13,800.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Second.
Motion a second. No discussion. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any other opposed? Motion passes.
B, to provide architectural design services to complete a detailed programming phase in order for the Borough of Hanover to determine the next steps in developing the Guthrie Memorial Library at 2 Library Place, Hanover, at the cost of $8,200.
So motion.
Discussion?
I would like to put on there the point of, before we spend a ton of money, that we have the, whatever requirement removed via the Orphans Court, that it has to be only a library, else it reverts back to the young family, or at least a good opinion that we're going to be able to do that.
The discussion on the issue, I believe, has been that this is probably easier to start like a feasibility study than to perform that. It could start with either or. I'll give you your point.
At least they should proceed in parallel, because if it comes back, you can't do the one, then this 20 couple $1,000 is for naught. I mean, I'm in
It's also not
favorable
free
of
to
it all.
contract.
I don't want it to be, a serial process where we get
No,
into it.
I think it was determined by your library committee that it was the best route to go, and it came here with that recommendation, as well as that was considered the economic perspective of all
Just
sides of it.
for point
No, your
of
point's made.
record,
Yeah,
because I know that was a big deal a few years ago.
Sure. Yeah. Any other comment, question? All in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Any other opposed? One opposed, motion carries.
Consideration of a motion to move forward with a public auction for the sale of firewood from the former Black Rock landfill site.
So motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Can we have a discussion on that?
Aye.
Oh, geez, that was a joke. Okay. Any opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Councilor Hegberg, would you like to address Public Works?
I will.
Asks and wants?
Yes. Consideration of a motion to approve the Chantel easement agreement at West Hanover Street Playground.
So moved.
Motioned and seconded.
Second.
Discussion?
They've done a great job, I have to say,
You've done an admirable job.
in the underground wiring neighborhood where we live.
Yep.
The mayor and I, and Councilor Lockard met with some of the folks with Chantel, and Originally, we're planning to have what the industry calls tombstones and NIDS sticking up in front of the different homes. And they were really, really helpful and cooperative, where you don't know that they did anything. So just for point of record, Sue, I would assume you would concur with this. I'd like to commend them for that.
Agreed. Okay, meanwhile, the motion passed, and we have...
That ends my report, Council President.
Thank
you remember?
sir.
Council, Mr. President.
We will move into the last committee this evening. That would be the Governments and Policy Committee. Mr. Lockard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request consideration of a motion to approve the social media policy.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on social media policy?
I just have one thing to add. I think we can't add it to this motion. Maybe it needs to be a separate motion. But once this is approved, I feel strongly that each member of council and the people to whom this applies should sign that they understand the media. They understand it.
This
and they
applies
abide
to
by
me.
it. I don't know if that, would that
I
be a
agree.
separate motion or just?
No, I think, that could be a point of the implementation or whatever. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I think so we're all aware.
Before you'd make it a motion, I'd like to think that we're all dignified enough that when we pass it as an order of business, that we would respect it as, no offense, but as our policy to do so. That
But new members coming on, whatever, need to be
communicated.
Yeah.
Okay, new members, you mean?
School district, they make all their school board members, they literally have to sign a copy of it.
Right. It happens in
I
most
believe the
companies. It
employees
happens
do
at
too,
Southwestern
correct?
School District. Everybody has to sign it.
Gotcha.
It's just a little more meat to it when you sign your name to it.
Right. That says I really did read it. It's not just in this inch thick
Or if you
pile of
sign
crap
you
I
didn't
have.
read it, then shame on you.
I will ask the initiator of the motion if he would consider amendment to include signature.
Yeah, that would be fine.
And I'm sorry, I forgot who the second was.
It was me.
It was Barb, or I don't know.
Oh,
somebody.
Jody. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Okay, that's,
Say so.
you'll second the amendment to the motion.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now the motion should read something to the effect that the council moves to or considers the approval of the motion to approve its proposed social media policy, and it requests, if approved, that all council members sign.
Yeah, individual acknowledgement of receipt and compliance.
Correct.
Yes.
And
I think
along the
it's,
lines of that.
it's elected officials and appointed members, too. It's those.
Oh, and
Okay,
appointed
you
member.
want
Okay,
that.
yep, yep. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Any other opposed? 8 for, 1 against. The motion approves. Thank you, Councilor Lockard. Mayor, we're at your point again.
This is my report for October of 2021. October 1st, I attended the official open house of the Hanover Area History Museum at the Wareheim Myers Mansion. This outstanding museum is housed in the carriage house. I was also treated to a personal tour of the mansion and got to hear stories of the Myers' daily lives. If you're interested in the history of Hanover, this well-done museum is a must, but make sure you have plenty of time because there is so much to see. October 7th, the Kiwanis Club of Hanover gifted the borough with a beautiful pavilion and sturdy picnic tables at Mao Field in honor of their 100th anniversary. This project was the culmination of many volunteers giving their time, money, and donations of materials. I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony and thanked the Kiwanis Club on behalf of the Borough of Hanover and the Council. I also want to thank A.G. Grimm, Lori Musselman, and crew for all their assistance with this project, as well as Councilwoman Barb Rupp and Councilman Scott Rowland also attended the ceremony. October 15th, the YWCA hosted the 2021 Emerge Women's Conference. The event featured several inspirational speakers and numerous informative breakout educational sessions. My favorite was Protect the Pearls, where Hanover Boxing Club taught us some self-defense moves. I presented a proclamation and talked to bring light to domestic violence. Thank you to the YWCA, the sponsors and presenters for an educational and wonderful day of bringing over 140 women of the community together. Councilwoman Barb Rupp was also in attendance. October 17th, I presented a proclamation for a week without violence in conjunction with the YWCA to help in their efforts to bring awareness to domestic violence. October 23rd, I stopped by the Hanover Symphony Orchestra's dress rehearsal to present a proclamation in honor of their 25th anniversary. Under the direction of Maestro Larry Kuntz, they will be performing several concerts this year. Mark your calendar for the Christmas show on December 4th. It will be a treat as sweet as figgy pudding. October 28th, I had fun participating in the JC's annual Halloween parade. It is one of the oldest Hanover area traditions. Thankfully, it was a mild night. The parade had a lot of participation with bands, floats, people dressed in costumes, vintage vehicles, etc. The parade was well attended, and children scooped up lots of candy. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor Whitman.
I just want to add something. At our YWCA conference, Sven did a fantastic job of fitting in nicely with our theme and so forth. Just a super job. So thanks.
Good to hear. Okay, I will open up for the in-room attendance in the public, the final public comment portion of the meeting this evening. Seeing none, community media.
If you're joining us via Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
Seeing none, we'll close that. All righty, we have one more month to go next to end this year out. That's all meet back here safely and soundly next month. I will take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Second,
You're
third,
adjourned.
fourth, fifth.
We're good.